Hi, I've lost my sound for some other reason on the video, so I'm going to try it this way. So I'm starting out by creating an A, or the starting point that you will already have on your page. So I'm working on a blank page. Then I'm just running through the instructions, making sure that I understand what they want from me. Then I realize that I need an auxiliary view of a pentagon. So I'm starting with one of the sides of the pentagon. Just look on your instructions on what length one of the sides would be. Then I'm using 72 degrees on both sides. Then I'm taking my compass, measuring one side, and then projecting it to the two sides, putting my sharp point where my pencil made a mark, and then just making a mark towards the top. That makes the point of the pentagon. Then I start by drawing a line straight through the pentagon from where the ruler meets the top of the pentagon to give it a center line. Then to find the half, I just open my compass to the half of the pentagon and make a mark towards another side. It can go to any other side. This is just my way of getting the center. So I line a mark up with an opposite corner, connect them, and then where that crosses the middle line, that is then the center. You'll see I'm testing by placing my sharp point in the center where the two lines cross each other, and just checking to make sure that I'll be able to draw a circle around it. So now I know, okay, that measurement I can use for transferring the pentagon onto my sketch. So now I know that I want a flat side at the top. So I'm just transferring my measurements from my auxiliary view to the sketch. Using my compass, just making marks where I want the points to sit. Making sure that I have the point of the pentagon at the bottom and a flat side at the top. Then to make it look like a pyramid, I'm just taking my corners of the pentagon and lining it up with the middle, drawing a line touching the center of the pentagon. Then I'm continuing to just follow the instructions, copying what they've given me. So I added a line. I think this is about 10 millimeters away from the sketch. And then I'm just going to project all of my points of the pentagon straight up to the line. But first I measured out how high the pentagon needs to be. And then I'm just projecting it straight up. So the corners of the pentagon, I'm just letting it touch the bottom line because I don't need it in the air. but then the middle of the pentagon is where I'm going to use the information right at the top. So I'm just connecting all of the corners with the top of the pentagon. Then I know the next shape lies 60 degrees right up against the point. So I'm just drawing a line touching the point to the bottom of the edge and then using 30 degrees for the bottom and the top. So this shape is a hexagon, and I'm going to need the top view of the hexagon to be able to determine the sides. So I just measured a space that's about 10 millimeters away from the line that I want to use. And then I'm going to draw my hexagon on that line. So I'm measuring one side of the hexagon, which I think is 20. But I don't have the question with me, just check your question paper. But I measure 20, or whatever the side is, and I put my sharp point on the side where I want to start, and I make a mark towards the middle. Then I go with that same measurement up to find the middle piece. Then I'm drawing a circle because a hexagon can be drawn in a circle. My compass giving me some challenges, but I draw the center line because this helps me to determine where my corners need to end up, and it also helps me to get my my sides. So you didn't really need to draw the top and the bottom. That was me just making a mistake and realizing it after I wanted to connect the corners that it doesn't look right. So I went back to the original way of drawing a hexagon, which is to put your sharp point in the corner where you want it at the measurement that you want it. So I want it on my center line that goes horizontally across. So here I am measuring the side again, making a mark on the horizontal lines, making sure that it's correct, and then putting my sharp points where I make a mark and just turning the compass to touch the circle again. I hope it makes sense. But in theory, I just drew a hexagon as you would in grade 10. Me realizing that I've made a mistake by drawing that base and the top where it wasn't needed. But then I continued to just connect the dots. Later on, you'll see that I will erase the bottom line, that 10 millimeter space line, because that was part of the first mistake that I've made. After I've drawn the hexagon, I'm just projecting each corner straight down onto my sketch. I'm darkening the lines already because I know that they will stay there. Then I need to add my section line. So I'm just measuring, I think it's 5 millimeters at the top, and then 5 millimeters where it needs to exit again, and then I'm connecting the lines. For the ends of my section line, I'm just giving it an extra line to make it a little bit darker, so you don't need to add an arrow head. and then I just label AA. Then I'm lining up my ruler with my hexagon shape, and I'm projecting each side straight down, just so that I can get that hexagon shape off the one side onto my top view so long. Then I'll do the back afterwards. So I'm just moving that line up, touching the hexagon, so that I can measure from that view with my sharp point touching that line, and then pencil point touching a corner that I'm looking for. I'm just going to measure 10 millimeters from that line that I just drew. This will become my new XY line. So that I can measure from that line. So before I start, I'm just going to number each corner, starting with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Then I'm going to put the sharp point on the new XY line, open up to corner 1. Then I follow the line down and put my sharp point on the XY line and make a mark. Then I'm just repeating the process, opening up to number 2, following the line down, sharp point on XY, then I make a mark. I'm going to continue like that. So number 2 and 3 will be the same size. Five and 6 will then also be the same length. And then I'm just connecting the dots. I'm extending the lines so that I can get the bottom of this prism. Then with my ruler touching the sides or the corners of the bottom of the hexagon, I just made a mark on each line where that line would have been crossing the horizontal line. Then I'm just connecting the corners with each other. Now I'm ready to project my section down. So looking at that angle, I need to show what I would see when I am showing the top view. So there's a little corner that will still remain, and you'll see I'm darkening it here. So nothing happens beyond that corner, that will stay as it is. And the next piece is being cut on a fold. So I'm going to need to make a mark on a fold. So with a fold, I mean like the edge of the shape, not the top or bottom, the side. Then looking at where the next one is being cut, also on an edge or the fold. So I'm just darkening the line up to that point. And that's the section for the hexagon. So I'm just darkening the rest of it. Then I know that section is complete. I'm just adding some hidden detail because the instructions asks for it. And then I will start hatching. Next, I'm going to start to project the points for the pentagonal pyramid. But I know there was a certain place where I got stuck. I knew how to get to the point, but then I would need a different view to be able to get that point. So this point where it's touching the middle, that was sort of throwing me a little bit. So I tried to see if I can find other ways of getting to that point, but I know at the end what I was supposed to do is just to get another side or view of the shape. So I spent some time trying to figure out how to get to that point, but I decided to just work with what I have and what I know, and then I'll get back to that point that I would need. I'm just darkening these two lines of where I think they might fit in, but later on I'm going to erase the one line to adjust that corner, so feel free to leave this for a little bit later. I'm then just going to draw a line that's away from the sketch so that I can give myself a 45-degree line to be able to project my top view over to the 45, as well as my front view over to the right side of the page. Then I marked out where A would be so that I know where my top point of the pyramid is going to land. With this, I can project the point that I was looking for over to the right side of the sketch and then down to the 45-degree line and back over to the side of the pyramid where I was looking to plot the point. With this, the top view is then complete. I'm just hatching where the sketch has been sliced. Moving on, I'm just projecting each point that was sectioned on the pyramid over to the 45-degree line so that I can project it straight up. To draw in where it will be sectioned. Moving on to the true shape, I'm working with two rulers. One will be in line with the section line and the other one will allow me to move my ruler up so that I can create a new XY line that's just outside of my sketch. Then I want to create 90-degree lines from my section line so that I can project each point where the sketch is being sliced up through that new XY line. Then to get the points for the true shape, I look at the first part where it's being sliced. I put my sharp point on an XY line and move it up to in line to the next XY line. So each point I measure with a sharp point on the same XY line at the bottom and just follow the line up, looking at where it's going to the new XY line, put my sharp point there, and then I make a mark. So this process just continues where every point is just being projected, measured from the top view and projected to the new XY line.